I somewhat apologize for doing the demo 2 months in a row.
Don't apologize.
Well, over the course of our club history, I have demonstrated once to twice a year for basically as long as we've been around.
You were the first one I ever saw.
Oh, well, that's right, that's right. Well, I had more hair last month because I decided that I was looking almost like a hippie. And so I went and, you know, when I taught school, inevitably, every time I'd get a haircut, one of my school kids would say, "Mr. Burgoon, you got a haircut." And my response was always, "No, I got them all cut." And so, you know, I feel really blessed today to have Oren with us from Israel. And Oren, here's why you should move back to the States. Yeah, but, man, it's great having you and seeing you. You hold a special spot in my heart. And, you know, he even showed up for our open shop night. And it was just wonderful. So, several years ago, for SWAT, and I'm going to need somebody who knows more about technology than me. Zach? Because I'm going to find the picture, and Zach knows how to do this, but I am tapped most every year to be one of the 3-for-1 raffle artists at SWAT. Now, if you don't know about 3-for-1, SWAT has 3 different raffles over the course of the 3-day event where, you know, they give away lace, they give away donated artwork, yada yada, and on Sunday they give away some more lace and tools that are, you know, either donated or bought from some of the vendors that are present. And so I've tried to do something different every year, and many moons ago when we were still at Target Sheet Metal. So that's within the first 10 years of our club. Eli Avisera from Israel was in the States doing some demos prior to SWAT, and we had the opportunity to get him to come present a class for our club. And 10 of us participated in that class. And it was really great. Well, he produced a set of, man, I'm getting some hideous glare. There we go. He
Gotta do it up.
huh?
You gotta do it
Wrong
to the
monitor.
camera.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. This is in our library. Now, I have watched all these, but there is one that I forgot about. Well, this is an inlaid bowl. And I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. So I might have to watch this again. Okay, if we look up at this monitor, these were the candlesticks that I used his process for making the blank and I'll talk about this a little more, to create this pattern. And throughout this, you can see these blanks just look extruded. And he does a lot of different things with these extrusions. He incorporates them into bowls. He makes the candlesticks. It's really cool. Ornaments. But here is the tape that talks about this, or the DVD. And this is, I make up words. This is checkoutable. Okay, somewhere,
Are you done with the pictures?
that one, okay? And I'm going to unplug it so that we don't have to look at all of mine. Okay. Here he goes. That one and one next door to it. I have done this demo for our club before, but it was 2 locations ago. This shape was made very popular by a deceased wood turner named Rudy Olsalnik. He was a teacher, a professor at a college training industrial arts teachers. This place was somewhere in Tennessee. They had a gift shop. And what I found amazing about him was he would go out every morning and crank out 50 of these shapes prior to starting his day. He'd start about 5. Now, I am not of that ilk that I wake up at that time. You know, Tim Williams and I should be brothers. We probably are brothers. Because, you know, if it's at night, we love it. Mornings, not so great. But I got to brag on him. Tim is my dentist now. I have never been to the dentist where I got a shot and didn't feel anything until last Tuesday.
I was off my game.
Oh, well. No, great, great. Highly recommended. Okay, so this extruded shape. You start with a square of 1 wood here. I'm through with that now. Because I think that's going to be the monitor this is on, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And I really don't know if you can see a lot of the detail in this because I started out with a square of blood wood. Oops, Christian's gonna try to zoom in. Yes, okay. I started out with a square of Wingate.
So you laminated 5 pieces of wood?
Oh, way more than 5. Okay, now, this long square rectangle of Wingy, hang on, I've got to put it up here so I don't shake. All right. The first thing you do to make this is you come in here with a straight router bit and you mill out all 4 corners on this central block. And then you glue a complementary color of wood into those. Now, you leave it a little proud so that you can take it to your router table with a flush trim bit and cut those squares so that they match the face of your central core. Now you've got a square with different color square corners. Then the next thing you do is you go in with a V-groove bit on your router table and you mill out the core on all 4 sides. And then you glue some little triangles in those. Once again, leaving them proud. Now, what I discovered was the best clamp for gluing these was a bicycle inner tube, where you just start wrapping at one end and wrap that dude all the way up, pulling as you go. Okay, so once you get that milling done, you move to the veneer layers. Now, I glued the veneer separately. And I made this veneer because several years ago at SWAT, I got one of the sleds for the bandsaw. And it's got a sled on it where you can double stick tape to a piece, and then it's got a dial indicator on it that you can adjust it in and out, and you can just cut slivers.
Resaw.
Yeah, resaw with and you can get multiple slivers. Christian has utilized that several times with some of his bowl rings. And so you make the veneers, you end up gluing, well, 2 sides at a time first. Then you flush trim that, and then you glue the opposite. I see what you're talking about. He does work looking in a mirror and backwards.
Upside down.
Yeah, upside down. Okay, so I'm not as good as it as you. Okay, then you glue the other 2 layers on.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And then you flush trim those. Then the last 2 layers you glue these 2. Same process, flush trim, and then your last 2. And you can see I didn't flush trim them because I know the lathe is going to take care of that for me. Now, the most critical part of this whole process is getting your center mark dead on center. There is no margin for error here. And so,
Just ask him how he knows.
yeah, well, this was something that, I knew was going to be rather involved. And so I think I started out with about 10 extrusions that I was working on. Throughout the process, I managed to screw up at least 4 of them, somewhere along the line, maybe more. Because this was back in 2019, I think. 18 or 19. I've slept since then. Okay.
19, Jim Bob.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. There are 2 variations on this theme of radial sawnings. And the 2 themes are, on this one, the radius goes in and then comes back out. And on this one, which was my practice piece at about 8:30 last night, I said I need to show the other variation. So the top is your taper in, and then the bottom starts to flare out. Now, it's one of those things, different strokes for different folks. Some people are going to like this style better. Some people are going to like that style better. All right. So, this is just out of pine. And it's only sanded to 120. And, it looks pretty good. Now, I demonstrated this one for the Austin Club back in 20 whatever. This other one has been sitting around my shop since then because I figured I would use it in another demonstration, and once again, I was not wrong. I thought I would mention, other than the fact that I'm inherently lazy and don't get things finished up and have unfinished things running around my shop, when I looked at this, I said, why did I leave the little ends on this? And it's an easy answer. Because when I'm doing this one, let's say somewhere along the line on this one, I mess up. I still have the opportunity to remount this one, tweak it just a little bit, so that I have as close to a match set as possible. Now, in the one that I did for SWAT, it had a metal candle cup in the top of it. And that was probably the hardest part of that whole process, was getting that candle cup to fit. What Rudy Osolnik did was he took a spade tip bit, 3/4 inch, and modified it to match the taper on taper candles. Okay? And it works. You can do that off the lathe on a drill press. All right. So, now that I've gone on for a little bit, you know, I like saying that nothing I do is very hard. If it was hard, I probably wouldn't do it. But I need a couple of volunteers because I've got a set of hackberry pieces that are sized to do two the same size. Okay? Everybody that's been to my shop knows I've got way too much wood and I need to get rid of some of it. So, somebody needs to volunteer to do these two. Okay? I'm going to set them over here. Now, what y'all may not know about Mark Middleton, he mentioned some of it today, is he goes down to Arkansas where they actually grow trees. Yeah. Hey, Ron, you can't throw a dead cat without hitting a tree.
Slow dogs.
Yeah. This is a set of walnuts. Now, here is the other thing that Rudy would do. He would make them in ascending order. Now, Mark picked me up some 4-inch walnut here a few years ago. And when it got here, it's beastly heavy because the piece was about this wide and as long as would fit in his pickup. And
6.5 feet.
yeah, and so I've got this humongously heavy piece of wood running around in my shop and I'm like, well, how can I make this more manageable? Cut it in half. So I cut it in half. Well, I started checking where I cut it. And I'm like, dang, it's not totally dry. So it's been mellowing out in my shop for the last few years. And last night, I'm like, you know, this would be an opportunity to get rid of some of this. So, if you would like to try your hand at this, I've got another set that you can do. Now, you may say, why is Jim Bob killing so much time and not turning at this point? And the answer to that question is, this one took me less than 10 minutes to do yesterday. Okay? So, I'm going to do some advertising. Mark will testify to me. A few years ago,
Here, let me send it.
yeah, oh, I just about had it, Christian. There we go. This woodpecker center finder is the best center finder I've ever used. Now, it's all metal. I looked at it and I said, oh dang, this is nothing more than a laser cut thing. And, but, once again, one of my terrible jokes is, do you know who the most famous inventor ever to live, who has his name on more products than anybody else? Pat Pending. Bad. I know it, but I revel in it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get this one set up. I thought there was a safety drive up here, but once again, I was wrong. And so I've already got my center marks on here. And so I'm going to make sure that I have this mounted very securely. I'm tightening it up. Generally until I see the tailstock move. And then did you notice that I gave it a little extra oomph in locking it? Now I had it pretty tight. But once I saw it move, then I locked it down.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Okay, everybody, see this up here? Do you prefer it like that? Or would you like it over this way just a touch?
Here you go. Yeah.
Like that? All right.
Christian is being an optometrist. Is this better or worse? Better or worse? All right. Christian, is there any way to get this overhead shot?
It's up there.
Oh, okay. Now, what I am doing right now is I am eyeballing this gap right here. And I am as close to visually parallel as I can be. Another way to cheat is if I look through the gap at this corner down here on the bed, I can get it fairly parallel to the bed, matching the tool rest to that bed. All right, just so you know, I've got this oriented this direction on the lathe. The top is going to be at the tailstock end, the bottom at the headstock. I will waste a little bit of weight on each end. The initial blank, this one measures 3.5. And the very bottom, that's the size I want it. The top is going to be about 3. I'm mentioning that because in the middle, I will start it a little above 3/4. Because I'm fixing around this and my cheat notes are going to disappear. But those are more for my benefit than yours. Okay, I'm going to grab face shield. I'm going to, ooh! Yeah, that's that's a good visualization of why we always do that. It hit.
How long is your blank?
Okay, this is a 9-inch tool rest. I'm cheating. I'm going to say 8 inches. Give or take a little bit. Now I'm gonna trim off some off of both ends. So it's probably going to finish up around 7.5. But if you want to check, and we'll pass this one around. If you want to check, there's a tape measure on the sales cart. All right, so let's get this round. Once again, I'm not moving my arm. I'm watching the shadow underneath. Actually on this side. Because it's easier for me to see it here than it is up here. With the background that I'm working with here. And so, I want to get it to where it's totally round. No flat. I think I'm getting close. I kind of watch how my shavings are coming off. If they are interrupted, I'm still, okay, I've got barely a flat. So this pass should take care of it. We'll turn it off and see. Now, it's still a big flat. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead and readjust my tool rest. Once again, I must not have got the tool rest. See, on my tool rests at the shop, I've got depth collars that I've clamped so that I just drop them in and they're the right height. So that I don't have to bend down and look. Okay, so. Calipers. He was out at my shop the other day and said, I never saw you use calipers on it. So I wanted to make sure. Okay, I'm slightly under 3.5 because I set this at 3.5 yesterday. Doesn't matter. I'm going to adjust however needed. Okay. My pencil is up here. Or it was, yes. All right. If you look at the overhead view, I'm going to take a pencil and run it right down the tool rest so that I end up with a line right down the middle. Now, I know that I'm going to lose, probably this much down here on the bottom, because on this blank, I do have a little problem on the bottom of this blank. Now, where is the one we are passing around? Randy, just throw it to me. I can catch it.
I can't throw it.
Oh, okay. So, here is the first critical measurement. Ah, you beast. All right. Everybody got a chance to see it? Okay.
Oh, no, no, no.
Oh, he can't catch. All right. So, I actually probably don't need that one anymore. All right. I probably will not get as lucky as I got last night. Because in designing these, you've got a 2/3, 1/3 ratio. Last night when I was doing the pine one, the blind squirrel found an acorn last night the very first time. Because I actually had a set of wing dividers, but a compass will work just as well. And I laid it down and I guessed, I think, let's see, who knows? Okay, so I'm going to put it at my intersection here. Come down, intersection there. Oh, I'm a little off. So, oh, you sorry dog. It moved on me. Okay, so that's how much I'm off. And I just picked these up off my table saw last night. I didn't screw with them at all. So, you know, it's just a guess. Well, if I look at that and I divide that, that's probably 3/16. Or not 3/16, 3/32. My guess is I do about 2/3 of that. The dead close enough. Close enough. Now, this is at 2/3 of the total length. And that is going to be my smallest diameter. So, we've got 2/3, 1/3. Why do we do that? Because it looks nice. And this formula works for a host of projects. If you're doing a bowl with a feature ring on it, you know, you want that feature ring to be about 2/3, either 2/3 from the bottom or 1/3 from the bottom, depending on the shape. Because the eye just finds that more pleasing. All right. So I need to grab the second tool this project will require, parting tool, and I'm going to go ahead, establish my length. And I'm almost down to the wingy. And since I know this is the top, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little angle in. I will refine that some more down the road. Now I'm going to scoot down and do this in. And I will take it almost down to the spur center. And since this is the bottom, I'm also going to put a concave surface down here. Alright. You notice I brought 2 sets of calipers. And I labeled this one big. So I know this one's set for the little. If you remember 3.5, I'm going to make this a 1/2 inch smaller. So on this one, I have slightly rounded the tips so that I can size this with it running, with the calipers riding on the top, so that when my calipers slide over, I know I'm at the right spot. So, I'm guessing I need to go about another 1/8 of an inch. Because I promised I was going to have another cheat today. If I look at the overhead, if I look at the distance from the tool rest to the wood, my guess is that's probably about 1/8 of an inch. When I double that, I'm at another 1/8 of an inch. And so when this surface right here gets to be what I guess is 1/4 of an inch, it's going to be right. So, you know, that's just a, yes sir?
Do you account to leave any extra for sanding, and are you just lining it up to the rough of where your first one was when you want them to match?
Okay, where'd my first one go? Okay. Freddie, you can throw. I'll catch it. Huh? Oh. Okay.
His arm won't throw.
Well, my arm won't throw either. Okay. I think what I did to answer your question is, I think I said it just a little bit big off this last night. You know, maybe a 1/16. I generally know that when I'm sanding, I lose about 30 seconds when I'm sanding, which is just, it doesn't matter as long as they're close. Nobody's going to get a caliper and be checking them. You know, this is almost like hand grenades. Close almost counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Okay. All right. So, just to kind of prove my point, I think I'm a little big. I am. So, we're now going to get, by setting it a little big, when this slides, I stop pushing. And this is where getting comfortable running one-handed comes in handy. Okay, it slipped over, it's the right side. Alright, I said this was 3/4. I'm going to jump it, well, I'm actually going to cut that 3/4 big. And so, I'll set it down. I am going to split the difference. Now, since this parting tool is a flat-sided profile, it's not diamond shaped, I have to create some relief as I go in. That's why I parted off almost down to where I was. So I will go about 3/8 and then give myself some relief. Now, when I start getting to the bloodwood and the wingate, it cuts entirely different. It's still cutting. My guess is I'm pretty close to 1 inch right now. So I'll go what I think is another 8. That's pretty close. Even though these are rounded on the tips, I don't want to slip it in there because too many bad things can happen. So I'm just going to look. I think I need to go another 8. Which is actually taking 1/4 off of it. I think I'm still big. Oh, just barely big. So I'll go in and trim off just a touch more. You may not have noticed it, but when I adjusted the speed up, I'm running slower because I don't want to cut nearly as much off as I'm getting closer. And now it fits. Alright. So now back to the roughing gouge. Why the roughing gouge? Well, it takes things off very fast and efficiently. Now, in the beginner class, almost everybody uses the tip. That's where it gets dull first. Mine probably get dull first on the wings because that's where I use the most. Alright. Because that takes a wider shaving off. Okay, so I'm going to get this half . Was anybody else impressed about Jim saying that mathematical word right this morning? What was that word? Yeah, tangential. I would have probably butchered that word. I say that to say this. Getting sawdust on this, in this terrazzo, or something like that, floor, it's about like turning on the ice up here. Okay, so we are getting back down. I'm taking this end down to 3. Okay, I'm still just a touch big. Now I can begin working on this half, and you may not notice this. I may have turned sideways. This is the angle I'm using this tool at. People tend to use it like this. You're scraping. Like this, you're cutting. It makes a different sound. I mean, when it's cutting, it's just a whisper. And so, I'm working on my shape here. And this shape is so challenging and difficult to get. Okay? Kind of like with pins, I don't want to go all the way on this one before I work on this one. So, I'm rotating my tool around. I'm now going to use the other wing. Here we go. And I'm beginning to kind of get my shape. I'm leaving a lot of material right here, because I will remove that when I refine the shape. Okay. So I can go a little, whoa, I went uphill. Yes, don't do that. Only go downhill with gouges. But every once in a while I get stupid and forget, or get lazy and forget. And then it takes off on me. Okay? I'm probably low enough that I need to come back and work on this one now. And I'm just wasting wood away, remembering, don't go uphill. And what I'm doing in my shaping, did you notice that the pass before this one, I started about right here? There was a lump right there. I saw that lump from this side. When I'm feeling, I still have a lump right there. So, I can come in, pare that lump down, now I'm going to kind of get after it. So you want pleasing shape. Now, I've started to get into the pattern. So now's an interesting time to look. It looks like, I'm probably off just a little bit on my centering, because this one's longer and this one's shorter. But did anybody notice on this one that there's also one longer and one shorter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So they match.
That's right. Blind squirrel finding an acorn again.
Jim was the only one that would find it.
Yeah. All right. Don't do that. And it actually grabbed me just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start using the tip now because it's grabbing that wing and jerking it around, and that's why I'm getting the catches. But the good news is on my roughing gouge, this is the sharpest area because I use it so infrequently. See the nice white shaving? Now, there is something here. Yes, sir.
Why don't you switch to a spindle gouge?
I could,
Oh,
but I am inherently lazy. This tool was right here.
We're all guilty
And
of that.
I wanted to show that you could do this project with 3 tools. I brought 5 tools. I brought a spindle gouge. Okay? Oh, beast! You beast! Okay, I get to go back to the other one and take a little more off because it chipped the top edge. Okay. Good question. I could. All right. So, I'm just continuing on, more the same. Looking at my shape as I go. I'm looking for where it's high. Okay, I'm almost down to my 3/4 there. I'm going to cheat and become left-handed. Alright, so now I would probably take this one, lay it on top, and I'm looking primarily at my profile shape here and what I've got down here. See where I need to refine the shape. Now, my guess is that I need to refine the shape right in through there. Now, when I reached up and stroked it, my meat calipers, which are a term from Dick Markham, my meat calipers tell me there's a little high spot right in there. Okay, so now the tool I'm going to switch to is a negative rake scraper. I think this is the side that I sharpened last night. And because I am the negative rake scraper actually works a little bit better if you have a little more room. Okay, somebody remind me in a minute. Nope, I'm going to do it right now. When we are roughing, you know, I generally just lock it to my waist and it's the same angle all the way across. But when you are doing this shape, you probably might not have noticed that I started at a fairly acute angle, but I cannot keep that same angle all the way down. I've got to raise the handle to maintain the cut. And so that's just a nuance that you may not have noticed. All right, through with the spindle spindle roughing guide. Now I'm going to refine the shape with the negative rake scraper. Now I can, and once again, I'm just using my body to make things as fluid as possible. I've got a little convexity, another made-up word, right in here. You may be able to see that. So, you know, with the negative rake scraper, you're not taking off that much material. So it may take a little longer to truly refine your shape. Okay. Nice thing about the negative rake scraper, you can go uphill or downhill. But the negative rake scraper is your friend. Okay, I need to work on that area right there, son, because the curve was not pleasing, and I'm going to switch and become left-handed again. And because all these beastly chips out here, I want this to be a concave shape right here. All right. So there it is. I'm probably going to need to take a little more off here to totally remove the chips, which means I'm going to have to take some off of this other one. I'm almost positive Now I'm gonna set my calipers, Cal. I may just call you Caliper Cal. Okay? I've set my calipers, but right there, I can see I'm still a little big. But through refining the shape a little bit at a time, I can get almost identical pieces. Okay.
But Jim Bob, you might have been able to turn that quick, but the hours you have putting that piece together is a whole lot more involved than, because I've got one on my, I've been working on it for a year too.
Yeah. Well,
A 3-footer.
that's why when I made them, I knew how much work it was going to be, so I started with a bunch of them.
Yep. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but, you know,
It's beautiful.
yeah. And eventually, you know, these will be somebody's family heirloom. Heirloom, not heirloom.
Yeah, it wouldn't be heirlooms in my family.
Yeah. All right. So, in review, what's the formula for getting the shape right?
2/3.
2/3, 1/3. Make the top about a ½ inch smaller than the bottom, or whatever looks right visually. As when I was a teacher, teaching scroll saw basics to junior high kids, I would say, as long as your shape that you're cutting is smooth and continuous, people aren't going to see your bobbles. You know, if my shape is smooth and continuous, and I'm running the risk here of getting a wingy splinter when I'm doing this, which if you've never had a wingy splinter, hey, come out to my shop and I'll gore you. That stuff burns like nobody's business. But as long as it's smooth and continuous, you're fine. All right.